From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Edgar Cedillo in Gallatin County. Coming up, with marijuana tax revenue collections on hold in the county, what commissioners hope to use some of that money for if it does get approved again.
I'm Joe St. George in Washington. Democrats have a lot of ideas to try to expand abortion access following the landmark ruling. But does any of it have a chance of becoming law? We break it down next.
Well, happy Thursday, Southwest Montana, 6:30. Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell, and friend joining us on the community hospital.
It's not even raining in that guy. It must be too sunny.
I think that was seeking shade. It usually is seeking rain shelter is
right.
why we usually get the bug on the camera, but
so
maybe it's shade.
We're going, I don't know, we're grasping at straws here.
Or bugs or whatever.
Or bugs. Beautiful morning. It is crisp, it is cool, but you know, a warm cup of coffee goes a long way as you're stepping outside. Temperatures into the 30s and 40s. Again, a nice crisp, cool start to the day. The afternoon should warm up nicely. Lack of cloud cover will help build those temperatures pretty quickly. I still think today's going to be just a touch cooler than it was yesterday, but our overall trend is actually very pleasant, pretty close to average, if not a little above over the course of the next 7 days. Highs into the 70s, hardly a cloud to be seen. That's why our little bug friend in Butte is seeking shelter. Beautiful morning. It looks like the afternoon into the 70s. There's a sneak glimpse at the weekend ahead. There are a few shower chances before it's all said and done for the 4th of July weekend. We'll talk in depth about that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. 6:31, our top story this morning. Some scary moments on the M yesterday morning near Bozeman. Several paragliders launching off. First flight seemed to be going, it's fine. Then one of the paragliders crash lands. You see that happening there after being caught in a gust of wind, losing control of one of the wings. Search and rescue called in to help rescue the man. Now, according to a press release, he had multiple injuries, was in a lot of pain, was taken by helicopter off the mountain, then to Bozeman Health Deaconess Hospital for treatment. His condition at this time not known. In other news, Montana Supreme Court ruled that a portion of a 2021 state law expanding open and concealed carry of firearms is unconstitutional. The court unanimously found that House Bill 102, prohibiting the Board of Regents from regulating or restricting guns on campus, infringed on the board's constitutional authority. The court found the Montana Constitution gives the Board of Regents the, quote, full power, responsibility, and authority to supervise, manage, and control Montana's universities and colleges. Now, the Board of Regents currently has a policy that bans firearm possession on state campuses, except by trained law enforcement or security officers. In other news, Gallatin County missing out on marijuana tax dollars. MTN's Edgar Cedillo explains how much is lost and what that money would have been used for.
June 7th, Gallatin County voters approved an excise sales tax on recreational and medical marijuana, but an administrative error caused that election to be nullified. Now, Gallatin County commissioners are waiting for that revenue fund, which they hope will be used for mental health.
The cost of not funding it is what we're paying right now.
Maria Valdenegro at Chaudière says mental health funding in Montana is lackluster and says statistics reflect that.
You know, with one of the highest suicide rates in the country, and that's been sustained.
Valdenegro says more money for mental health will improve access.
Any additional funding will only help us be able to increase our services more and maintain what we already have.
Gallatin County commissioners are optimistic that the marijuana sales tax passes again in November.
Really hoping that this marijuana tax will pass.
Before the election mishap, they were planning to use marijuana tax dollars to boost mental health resources.
Possibly using that money to bolster mental health services.
Dr. Eric Arzubi at Frontier Psychiatry has been working on the front lines, advocating for mental health in Montana.
Nobody does well, no state does well, is investing way upstream in prevention.
According to the Department of Revenue, based on trends for the first 5 months of legal recreational sales, Gallatin County officials estimate that they would bring in $1.3 million of revenue between the two taxes a year. The county would get to keep 50% of that, around $654,000. But now, since they have to wait for another election, they are losing an estimated $218,000. But Commissioner Skinner believes it is worth the wait to get people struggling with mental health the help that they need right here in Gallatin County.
Prevention services and like I mentioned, mobile crisis is something we want to continue and expand.
To do that, commissioners hope to use marijuana tax dollars to increase mental health services in the county.
The most humane thing to do is to keep people here when they're in crisis.
Dr. Eric Arzubi hopes to keep people who need the help at the forefront of the conversation.
What is best for our fellow Montanans who are struggling? That to me needs to be at the center of every conversation.
In Gallatin County, Edgar Cedillo, MTN News.
Now, Edgar tells us those questions will once again be on the ballot this time in November. If they pass again, that tax collection will begin in February of 2023. 6:35 now. In the last week, at least 7 states have banned abortion since the landmark Supreme Court ruling. Others expected to follow soon when legal challenges conclude or new laws take effect. One question emerging now is, will Congress or President Biden take any steps to provide access to the controversial procedure in the states where new restrictions are taking place? Our Joe St. George with a closer look at the ideas and the reality of whether anything can become law.
Security remains heightened here at the United States Supreme Court, even though the number of protesters, the number of marches in front of the high court are becoming less frequent. That's a reflection that this is no longer a legal fight. This is a political fight in state capitals with governors and state legislatures. And it's also a political fight in the United States Congress, where lawmakers who work here have some big ideas too. One question is, can Congress do anything to expand abortion access in the United States? And the answer is yes, if they get the necessary votes.
Abortion ban, illegitimate!
Those marching at the Supreme Court and elsewhere in recent days have called on Congress to codify the right to an abortion into federal law. The Supreme Court put no restriction on Congress passing that. They could legally do it. However, when the Senate tried to pass the Women's Health Protection Act earlier this year to do just that, it failed. The vote was 46 to 48. 60 votes would be needed unless the Senate changed the rules on how they pass bills, which doesn't appear to be happening. Progressive Democrats do have other ideas, though, including taking advantage of the 600 million plus acres of federal land the federal government currently owns. Progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York has called on President Biden to try and build abortion clinics or offer services on those sites. The White House appears reluctant to that idea, though. Other ideas include the federal government increasing legal access to abortion pills that could be mailed to someone. Not to mention the Department of Health and Human Services has already said they're considering using taxpayer funds to pay for women to travel to states where abortion is still legal. All of those ideas, though, have to get through something known as the Hyde Amendment. The 1976 policy was named after the late Congressman Henry Hyde of Illinois, and it essentially bans federal taxpayer dollars from funding abortion services in most cases. In fact, passing any new abortion law with the makeup of this current Congress is going to be difficult, but it appears as though Democrats are going to try. Speaker Pelosi telling colleagues earlier this week she would like a vote this summer guaranteeing the right for someone to travel from one state to another for a procedure, as well as better protections for reproductive health data that may appear on an app. On Capitol Hill, I'm Joe St. George.
All right, more to follow on that story. Meantime, 6:38, it's not just at the pump. You may be spending more money in getting your car repaired. Newsy national correspondent Kat Sandoval has more.
Auto body shops are busy.
Most of the people I know in the industry right now have really had an influx in the last year or more.
With inflation affecting the cost of new and used cars.
It just takes a long time. We've had some cars taken 3-4 months just to get parts.
More folks are trying to make their old cars last longer. But at repair shops like West Valley Collision in suburban Salt Lake City,
probably going to be having to wait.
There's a supply chain related shortage of parts, tapping the brakes on getting cars fixed.
I know it's not nice driving around a damaged vehicle, but sometimes that's what we have to do in these scenarios right now.
So what are the main problems?
Airbags and airbag modules. I'm pretty sure we will not be able to get that airbag right there. Seat belts. You'd be surprised. Little brackets that you should just easily be able to get. We've had issues with that.
In Nashville, body shop owner Charles Childress says shortages are across the industry.
It's been anywhere from a door handle, a mirror, a door. Honda, I've had to wait about 3 months for a couple of things. Jaguar, I waited about 6 months for one piece.
Some repair shops are using used parts to fix cars, which can work in some cases like body repair. But in Las Vegas, shop manager Jim Robbins warns against reusing more sophisticated parts.
Computers for the cars, you need any of those and they're hard to get a hold of. A lot of them are aftermarket now that people are pulling out of used rigs, which I wouldn't suggest using at all.
Robbins says the backlog can be maddening for everyone involved. car owners, and the repair shops.
It makes it frustrating for us and the customers. I mean, if you bring your car in to get it fixed and somebody's telling you, I can't fix your car for several months, that's a bit disconcerting.
Moody's Analytics say the average monthly car payment is now a little over $700. But to keep your current car running, AAA has some tips, including following the maintenance schedule in your owner's manual, keeping your tire pressure up, and parking your car in the shade if you can. That'll make it easier on your air conditioner. Kat Sandoval, Newsy, Chicago.